Midway is the incredible motion picture that showcases the brave pilots and soldiers that fought the epic battle that turned the tide for the Allies in the Pacific. And joining me right now are the stars of Midway, Ed Skrien, Kleintank, and director Roland Emmerich. Good morning.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Greetings from Las Vegas.
Good morning.
Hey, man, how's Vegas?
Well, the weather is cool and the tables are hot.
Probably sunny.
All right.
First off, Roland, we've come full circle. My first job as a film critic over 20 years ago was the dedication of the Independence Day extraterrestrial highway here outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
So we've had many World War II films over the years, and there was a version of Midway back in the 1970s with Henry Fonda. How does this version stand on its own from those past films?
You know, not only about this one battle, it describes like 6 months, of the beginning of the Pacific War. And it shows, in a way, I think like no other movie, how, actually the Americans were underdogs at the very beginning. They were like facing incredible, well-trained, and equipped Japanese Imperial Navy. And there was like kind of a very daunting task, and with a lot of luck and a lot of, bravery, they kind of could turn this battle. And turn the war with that.
So in making Midway, gentlemen, you're not playing characters, you're playing real-life soldiers. So was it important for you to treat it with respect and get the facts right?
I mean, it was of the utmost importance. The kind of weight of responsibility was there from the moment I laid eyes on the screenplay and the proposition of the project. And then, the weight of responsibility just grew and grew from the moment I stepped onto Ford Island, Pearl Harbor, and Hickam Air Base in Oahu. The weight of responsibility just grew and grew. We spent so much time with servicemen and servicewomen. So many of the extras in the movie were servicemen and women. Many of the children were Navy children, and we were surrounded by all ranks. From the Admiral of the Pacific Fleet to ensigns, officers, and such. So it was an overwhelming sense of responsibility that carried on throughout the whole shoot, and that has continued in this press run. Actually, it's unlike any responsibility I've ever felt on any film project ever.
And Roland, what I really admired about you in this version of Midway is that the Japanese were portrayed with humanity. You didn't demonize them at all.
Well, you don't want to create new stereotypes, because in war nobody wins, and they were very honorable people too. And, it's like kind of, that's really important these days, that you like kind of stay true to just the facts, And the facts is, they were like kind of, they were extremely well trained, but they were honorable people, and they made a couple mistakes, and they saw that they made mistakes, and they also like, they chose the consequences too.
And Roland, I have to say, I'm a submariner. I love submarine movies. I love anything to do with subs. And you included a submarine sequence in Midway. That was just the most exciting thing for me.
Well, look, it's like this. We when we're like kind of this, like wrote the script, Wes and I like kind of talked about it. We kind of first of all, I kind of tried to kind of find what is the most exciting part, and I think the most exciting part is like kind of the dive bombing. And so that was like for me the most difficult, but also hardest, but also the most the most important thing to do. That we could like kind of figure out how that would have looked when they dived against these carriers from 12,000 feet, and we like kind of looked at a lot of stock footage to get it right.
Now, Roland, all the studios passed on Midway, so you went the independent film route. This $100 million epic was done outside the studio system. Tell me about that incredible journey.
Well, it was like kind of first a little bit, daunting, but I wanted to make the movie, and we're like kind of just going around with our hats all over the world and collected money for it, which is kind of cool in a way, because you like kind of become the studio yourself, and you like kind of deliver a movie, to all these different countries. And it gave us, or gave me like kind of maybe the first time again, because I started in the independent business again, like this feeling of I'm in charge, I can make this movie like however I want it. And I think it changed the movie how it was made a lot, story-wise and look-wise and also casting-wise.
Now, Ed, Luke, you're portraying real-life soldiers in Midway. Tell me about the research you did on these two gentlemen.
Well, a lot of research. I mean, there's a lot of verbiage out there about the war, and there are pictures and documentaries, and many accounts. But for me specifically, my character wrote a book called The Flying Guns, and he wrote it 6 months after the battle was done, after Midway had ended. So it was fresh in his memory, and so that for me was kind of a Bible. It was something that I held close to my chest during the whole shoot, just so that I could hear his voice, because there was no video documentation of him. I could only just look at pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who goes head over heels into research on every job that I do, and probably do more than I need to. From the first moment that me and Luke met in Pearl Harbor, Ford Island, I realized I'd met my match with someone else who's crazy about research. We kind of pulled together all of our information. There were many accounts. Dusty Cleese wrote an incredible book, Never Call Me a Hero, as well as Clarence Dickinson's book, which were very informative first-hand accounts. And then you had many historical books documenting the sort of timelines of the battle and such. So there was a lot to do in that regard. There was one preoccupation with just understanding the sort of dates and timelines and the overall understanding the sort of historical factual information of what was happening. Secondly, there was the individual accounts of the dive bombers who had a very specific job in the war and specific dynamic and emotion to their job. But then outside of that, we had to kind of try and fill in the blanks in terms of the emotional state of beings of these men. We're born in the 80s, it's 2019, we really haven't faced the kind of struggle and bravery that these men from the greatest generation had to. So we had to try and find that emotional place that they might be in. So there was a lot of research, but that's kind of a part of the job that I think me and Luke love is to learn,
As we all know, World War II had the greatest generation. The Battle of Midway was the turning point for the war. It was a make or break moment. How important is it for millennials and younger people to know their history and to know this specific battle and how important it was?
It's an important story that needs to be told, a very important story for American military and political history, and therefore global history. For the millennials, for my generation, for everyone, it's important to remember the past, remember the cost of war, remember the sacrifice that these men, as you say, the greatest generation, their contribution that has enabled us to live in this relative peace and privilege.
Now, Roland, the Battle of Midway is so complicated. World War II has so many details. How do you approach making an epic film like this? Where do you begin?
Yeah, but it's like, I want to make this movie since 20 years, so I had a lot of time to think. And what I decided very early on, I kind of said, you cannot understand the Battle of Midway without seeing the attack on Pearl Harbor. So we kind of decided, to tell 6 months of the beginning of the war, and just show how an amazing turnaround or comeback that was for the Americans. And and describe all the different aspects which go into a battle, because so many people are involved in battles, and then sometimes only a certain personal decision of one of these thousands of people who do battle sometimes in a way makes one side to win the battle. So there's a lot of luck involved, a lot of bravery, and and it's was just what we wanted to tell.
So Ed, your character throughout the film, he chews a lot of gum. What brand of gum did he chew?
People keep asking me what brand of gum it was.
Gum.
I'm not sure, but the other day I did ask someone for a gum. They gave it to me, and I said, "This is the gum from the movie." So I'm not sure, but I
think it was like a real gum. I think
it was a modern gum.
Well, yeah, but they still have it.
Yeah,
I think we kind of found one which we could buy the rights and kind of show it in the movie.
Oh yes, no, yeah. The artwork was an old gum that is written about in the testimonies that pilots would chew, I think, to stop the pressure in their ears or something like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I can't remember what brand it was, but yes, I chewed a lot of gum. I haven't been chewing much gum since.
You know, the Nick Jonas sequence, that really broke my heart. I think that was one of the most powerful scenes in the whole film.
When he gets like kind of thrown in the water, that's pretty emotional.
It really was.
Yeah. None of us want to see Nick Jonas thrown in the water.
Well, gentlemen, congratulations on an incredible and important epic film for all generations to see. And when you have a chance, come out and visit us in Las Vegas. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
I would
Thank
love
you.
to be out there.
Thank you again, and good luck with the film.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, you can catch Midway in theaters now, and for more reviews and interviews, you can surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com. I'm Jeffrey K. Howard in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.